Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 22nd. You start with this prepare card and this trust card. Yes, I do feel like Taurus needs to prepare for new opportunities that could be coming in for them at this time, especially when we get to November. I know that it's a little bit early to be talking about that, but really it's not, because you should be preparing now. Uranus is going to go back into your sign one more time in November. And I feel that this is going to be where you kind of it's almost like you're touching things up in your life, or, you're kind of like touching something up that will benefit you and benefit your life, probably like an opportunity. And so, again, I would start doing it now. I always say astrology is like a wave. You can catch the wave early. And if you do that, that'll be great, because you can, get all the lessons out of the way, and you can, implement the energy, which will just make you successful faster, right? And so that's definitely what we want to do, especially you. So in your current general energies, you have this Six of Pentacles. Judgment card came out with the Page of Wands, and you have the Queen of Swords as well. The Six of Pentacles is about what you give to. And so I do feel for many months we've been talking about how you really need to nurture yourself. You even have the Empress here again. You always get the Empress, which is great, but the Empress is about self-care. She represents a lot of things, but I feel for you here, Taurus, it's talking about, investing in yourself, right? He's giving to this person, not this person, but this is about return on energy. It's like he might be giving to this person because this person returns the favor, right? And so if we really care about ourselves, then we will invest our time, effort, energy into things, all things that return energy to us, or lead to fulfillment, or a better vibe in general. And I feel like that's what the Six of Pentacles wants. Very simple energy that I'm getting here on that card. Next, you have the Page of Wands and the Judgment card. This is about kind of attacking your purpose here, Taurus. The Judgment card is waking up to your purpose, or understanding what your purpose is, or following through on your purpose, answering the call to purpose. The Page of Wands would be about going for it. The Page of Wands, I always say he doesn't really have a good reason for what he's doing, but he is enthusiastic about it, and which is kind of like one of those things where, sometimes I think the universe asks us to do things that maybe don't make sense immediately, but they will, and those actions will make sense in the future. And I kind of get that feeling here with the Judgment card. You have a very happy-go-lucky energy in this reading as well, I would say. You have the Fool. The Fool is my card of being more happy-go-lucky, being more, inspired, living from that place. You have the Fool right here. I think I just said the Fool, but the Page of Wands is my card of happy-go-lucky energy. What I meant to say is the Fool is very similar. The Fool is sometimes considered foolish, but at the same time, he's been prepared. He's also been down this road before, which we'll talk about in a minute. You also have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is a good card. It is a golden card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. But he has these polka dots on his cloak. And the polka dots in the tarot represent taking things too seriously, or needing to be more playful. So we definitely get a significant playful energy in this reading. And, so being more playful with life, and being willing to just be happy, follow your happiness, follow your bliss. As lame as that sounds, it's going to be the thing that leads to the most success. It's kind of funny that we have the Queen of Swords to the King of Swords, the Ace of Swords next. It's like this is not bad. These are both, decent cards, especially the Ace of Swords can be overcoming an obstacle. But, sometimes I feel with the Queen of Swords, it's like she knows what she needs to know. But with the Ace of Swords, it's almost like she's looking for more information. And so, while I do feel this is positive in your reading, I also feel it's a little bit of a warning. Not even a warning. I just feel it's saying, sometimes we feel we need to know more information, but I really feel the reading is saying you don't need more information, about whatever it is that you're doing in your life at this moment. I feel like you have enough, you know enough to be dangerous, Taurus, and that's all that matters. I feel like there's nothing more that you need to learn. It's almost like she's looking for more. I feel it's more intuitively that you could be feeling like, oh, I need to know this before I take action, or I need to know that, or I need to be sure of these things, that type of energy. And I feel like the reading is saying, no. Even the Fool says the same thing, which we will talk about in just a second here, Taurus. But let's see. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Page of Swords, curiosity. He needs to follow his curiosity, but again, another card of like thinking that you need to know more, right? And so I definitely get the feeling from this reading that it's saying you're ready, or you're more prepared than you think, and you need to trust what you know with that trust card. The Page of Swords is about the people you trust, right? So the thing about the Six of Pentacles is this guy here, he has something in his back pocket. And, you know, that's a saying that we have, that if someone has something in their back pocket, that they have ulterior motives. So I do feel the Page of Swords is kind of encouraging you to make sure that the people you're dealing with, especially people, that they, you know, they don't have ulterior motives in whatever it is that are asking of you, or you're asking of them. With the the Page of Wands and the Judgment card, you have the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like I've said this to you before, Taurus, but, you know, the Queen of Pentacles, she does what she can with what she's got right in front of her. You know, again, I feel the Queen of Swords to that Ace of Swords is really saying there's nothing more, and also the Fool is saying there's nothing more that you really need, even if you feel like there is. You know, it's like time to get started on that dream or whatever you've been preparing for. You know, it's time to take action. And I kind of feel this energy is saying like there's nothing more that, even though it might feel like it, you can get started right now. And I feel it's encouraging you to do that. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Seven of Cups. I mean, you know, pretty much called it here, Taurus, because he is dreaming of something that he wants, but he's dreaming of the good things and bad things that could happen instead of getting started. And yeah, that's pretty much what I feel like you need to do, is just get started. It's like, it feels to me like some of you could be launching a new opportunity, or, you know, looking for a new career or something, and this is saying it's time to really go for it and to not muddle your thinking, right? I personally like the Seven of Cups, but sometimes I feel it can be muddled thinking. You're just thinking about too many things instead of just getting started. And that's what I feel there. Next, we're mixing things up this week. We're going to look at messages from your future self in this row. You have this Do Nothing card and this Shadow Work card. It's a really good time this week for any type of deep work or shadow work, because we have this eclipse in Virgo. We also have Pluto retrograde. I think people forget that, you know, Pluto retrograde is shadow work. It is needing to do shadow work, or needing to work on your deeper emotions or feelings, or, you know, all sorts of things. So it's an amazing time for that, like to practice deep work. And I feel that that's what these cards are asking you to do. I don't think you're doing nothing, but I definitely feel, you know, when you think about it, happy-go-lucky energy is basically saying don't force things to happen. Empress doesn't need to force anything. All she has to do is wave that scepter in front of her, and the wheat in front of her grows. Like, she is not struggling to get a result. And I feel it's time to stop struggling. I feel like the universe wants you to not struggle, even though it seems like all you're doing is struggling. And, you know, I feel like the universe is saying it doesn't have to be this way, and you can create improvements. So how, right? Well, you start here in the area of messages from your future self again, with the Wheel of Fortune, the Fool, and the Ace of Swords. The Wheel of Fortune is about paying attention to cycles, and definitely with Neptune retrograde right now, we definitely should be paying attention to cycles, because Neptune retrograde basically says we will have moments of inspiration, we will have moments where we're not inspired. The trick with Neptune retrograde is when you feel inspired to do something, do it. You know, double down on it. Make it happen. When you are feeling lazy or whatever, you know, tired or whatever, take a break, right? And if we pay attention to those cycles, we will take control of our destiny. You know, the Wheel of Fortune is our destiny, but it's our destiny in like how we see it. It is our personal vision for our life. And so we have to be the ones to control the wheel. And again, I would be paying attention to cycles. I would also be paying attention to things that you've already learned with that Six of Pentacles. It's basically saying don't repeat a mistake. You know, it says don't touch a hot stove, right? Six of Pentacles, sometimes with the Wheel of Fortune, I feel can be where we trust a person again that we know we shouldn't trust, not even in love. You know, this could be in any area of your life. If you've had a negative experience with something in the past that you feel like you shouldn't do again, then don't, right? And so, especially if you're going to get burnt, then you should avoid it. And I kind of do feel that little bit of a warning on the Wheel of Fortune as well. You have the Fool, probably your most important card here. He has these tattered sleeves, and the tattered sleeves kind of say he's been on this journey before. You know, the Fool represents going from the Fool, then we go through the entire major arcana, and the Fool gets to the world, and then he starts the journey again. So I feel for a lot of you, it's like, again, I feel this is saying that you have all the knowledge and wisdom you need. He has this big ass feather in his cap here, and we say a feather in your cap for people who know something or who have learned something, right? You gain a feather in your cap. And so I feel for a lot of you, it's like you have all the knowledge and wisdom necessary to start your next thing that it looks like you're preparing for. And it's time to go on that journey. He also only has this tiny little sack on his back. So he's about to go through the whole major arcana, this big, long-ass journey, to use that word. And, he has everything he needs right here. So he's going on this long journey with nothing, basically. And, again, I feel the reading itself is saying you're much more prepared than you realize. But, it's time to take that leap of faith here and time to move forward. Sometimes I feel the Fool can be a little stuck. He's got these ice-capped mountains behind him, which can say that maybe you're hesitating or, you're not getting started. So I think it's time to start. Next, we have the Ace of Swords. I definitely feel you are overcoming an obstacle, having a tiny little breakthrough here. This eclipse we're having in Virgo on the 21st, if you're watching this early, and even if you're not, doesn't matter. Eclipses last for like 6 months. I feel this eclipse could be bringing some sort of breakthrough into your life here, Taurus. It could be guiding you or, showing you a different way of doing things is kind of what I feel. I do feel that Ace of Swords is showing you things that you need to cut out as well. The sword cuts both ways. It's sharp on both sides. So I always say that usually when the Ace of Swords comes up, there are things we need to remove. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, we have to double down on the good stuff and take care of the challenges or remove challenges as quickly as possible. And if you do that, you will be much more successful, right? With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Nine of Wands. Yes, putting up boundaries, right? I would put up boundaries against those hot stove things in your life, whatever they are. Whether they're people, places, or situations, or habits. I would be looking at all that. I mean, we're in an amazing time for healing with the, South Node in Virgo, the eclipse happening in Virgo. It's going to be really good for anyone who wants to heal or take care of any issues in their life. So I would definitely do that with this card. With the Fool, you have the Queen of Cups. You always get the Queen of Cups with me here, Taurus. And I feel the Queen of Cups is encouraging you to heal again, but also to follow your heart. That is the trick for Taurus, for sure, is that your heart is telling you to do things that you might not be doing. And you have, it's a little bit scary, though, with that Page of Wands. I think that Page of Wands isn't a bad card, but it can be scary because it's like you're doing things that you just feel optimistic about. But, you can't take optimism to the bank necessarily, although you actually can, but, really not. And so I feel that you might even be dealing with people that are like, what are you doing with your life? Or, where are you going? Or why are you doing this? And asking a lot of questions. But, if your heart is telling you to do something, it's probably really your inner guidance system that's telling you to do it. So I would be paying attention to that. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Four of Swords. Yeah, getting to the bottom of a healing. Like I said, Pluto retrograde. Pluto goes direct next month in October. And so we have a little bit more time. And, retrogrades are always more intense at the beginning and towards the end. So we're getting closer to the end. And I feel a lot of people, are just kind of looking at deeper issues in their life and healing those issues. This is a card of blessings. There's a person right here who's blessing another person in this stained glass window. So usually if we do work with the energy on the Four of Swords, we can get some sort of blessing or some sort of improvement in our lives. Next, we're going to look at what you don't see coming, or if there's anything unexpected this week. You have this, you can't make this up, this waning moon card. It says, what do you need to release? Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Swords. You have this win-win outcome is forecast as well, so there could be some sort of win. Ace of Swords is winning. It is a victory or celebration. I feel like really the only thing you need to focus on this week, Taurus, is what you need to release or something you need to let go of that just isn't working any longer, whatever it is. You have the Seven of Swords, the Empress, and the Queen of Wands. The Seven of Swords is a card of kind of doing things in a different way. He's going to war, but in a different way. He's stealing the swords instead of going to war. So the Seven of Swords pretty much tells us there's a better way to do everything that we are doing in life, but we just have to discover it. And, again, I always say, yeah, sure, Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, but not, it's really a good card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. So the Seven of Swords wants us to come up with different ways of doing things. The other thing that I've been getting a lot this week is that people need to pay attention to what they're doing. In the After Tarot, for example, he's in that deck, he's about to step into a trap that's on the ground. And so sometimes I feel the Seven of Swords can say that we have to try something new carefully. Like we have to make sure we're following the instructions, and we need to make sure we're not stepping in any traps. And it's not saying that you are going to, it's just saying, take your time in whatever it is that you're working on right now so that you can avoid any obstacles or issues. Again, the polka dots represent needing to have more fun in life, which I definitely feel everybody needs to do. You have the Empress. The Empress is about abundance and creating abundance. Also a great card for self-care. Anything you can do to take better care of yourself would be very beneficial. She really practices self-care, nurturing herself. She also nurtures the things that she cares about, which again, this has been coming up for you for weeks now, Taurus, that working on these energies would be very beneficial. She's also very attractive, so you have this card and the Queen of Wands. If you want love, doesn't matter what gender you are, I would definitely be putting yourself out into the world because you could be attracting new connections. But, I feel like you definitely, I also definitely get birth energy on this card. Like you, with that prepare card and that trust card, it's like you're preparing to give birth to a new life or a new idea in your life. And it doesn't really matter what it is. I feel that whatever you're giving birth to is going to be very abundant for you. The other thing I feel like pointing out is she has this waterfall here. The waterfall kind of represents tower energy on the Empress. It represents chaos. If you were at the bottom of a waterfall, you would be getting tossed around all over the place, right? Like she understands that her circumstances do not have to be perfect for her to be successful. So sometimes I think about that with the Empress, that maybe if we are thinking like, oh, I'll do this project or I'll work on this business or I'll change my health when this happens. The Empress says like, no, you should do it right now because there's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be reasons not to do things. And so I definitely get that feeling on that card. Next, you have the Queen of Wands. It's like, this is like the new Taurus, right? Is the Queen of Wands energy. She's bold, assertive. She's willing to be bold and assertive. She's willing to learn as she goes. She doesn't need to know all the details of something that she's starting. She just follows her bliss, right? She follows this sunflower right here and she moves in that direction. So I do feel it's encouraging you to kind of like, I think the card itself is encouraging you to follow your bliss or follow your inspirations at this time. That's probably going to be the thing that really helps guide you and helps you improve your life. And so that's it. That's all I would basically be doing with the Queen of Wands, is following your inspirations or your bliss or the things that make you happy. With the Seven of Swords, we have the Justice card. Yes, cause and effect, right? Wheel of Fortune and Justice, super important that we pay attention to what's working and we double down on stuff that is working. And I know I always say this, but again, it's like the easiest thing to do with the Wheel of Fortune, to change our fortunes. The Wheel of Fortune wants us to change our destiny. It wants us to change our fortunes. But again, the best activity for that is to double down on the good stuff and to also pay attention to the cycles. We could also say facing fears is a good thing to do with the Wheel of Fortune. There's a snake on the side of the Wheel of Fortune. Snakes represent fears. Snakes are guardians of portals. Usually to get something we want in life, that we don't have, we have to face some sort of fear. It's like I always say, it's like if you want love and you don't have love, why not? Right? Probably because there's a little bit of fear. And people always say, oh, I'm not afraid of it. I'm like, okay, well, go to the store and ask everybody out in the store. And most people say, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, because you're scared, right? So we have to balance fear with the Justice card as well. And that's basically what I would do. With the Empress, you have the Hangman. Tons of new perspectives coming into the world. We have Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini, I always say Uranus loves Gemini because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. But I'm telling you right now, I think that Uranus and Gemini, we're already seeing it, there's like a little bit of a chaotic energy with it, but it is new perspectives. And the Seven of Swords wants us to find other ways of doing things. So, just learning different ways to work, to run your business, to fix your health, to do whatever, learning those things is what you should do with that energy. With the Empress, you have the Tower. Oh, it's funny that I said the Tower on the Empress card, right? And so with the Queen of Wands, you have the Tower. The Tower is a shakeup. It's a new reality. I do feel that some of you are literally creating a new reality for yourself. I don't really feel bad about this at all for you. Probably going to be more global tower moments. I mean, I've been talking about this for years, and I have not been wrong. We are going to see a crap ton of global tower moments. It just is what it is. We're having to face reality. And so, I don't know, it just doesn't surprise me. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Mending card and this Observer card. Yes, an amazing time for Earth signs to heal with that Virgo eclipse and also the South Node in Virgo. That's going to affect you Earth signs more than everybody else, so I would definitely be doing things to heal. Also, observing your health, right? It's like sometimes I think that let me back up a little bit and just say, I feel like this row is good, but I feel it's saying don't try too much, right? It's like sometimes we can't get enough data. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But we can't get enough data. Like if we try make too many changes at once, then we're not sure what change works, right? So I feel that it's a good time to think fast and slow. There's a book, Thinking Fast and Slow or something like that, right? And that is the time that we're in. We have to kind of come up with ideas quickly, but we should also be kind of implementing them slowly, if that makes sense, so that we know what works and what doesn't. Again, the problem right now is chaos, like I said, right? It's like that Uranus and Gemini, I feel, could be making people want to change things very quickly, or, it's like we want to see immediate change right now. But, in our lives, in every area of life, but it's like sometimes we really can't. And, sometimes things we have to make sure we know what's actually working. So I would make sure that you're observing the changes you're making and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You have the Four of Cups, the Ten of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles wanted to come out together. This is coming up in the good stuff. So the Four of Cups can say you need to, again, prepare for an opportunity that's going to be presented to you. It might look similar to a past opportunity as well. He's not accepting this opportunity because he's tried it 3 times before. I'm not too worried about this for you, Taurus, because, again, it's coming up in the good stuff. So I feel that there could be a similar opportunity that you're going to be experiencing, but I do feel you will accept it. Next, you have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands in the good stuff would say you're very close to achieving a goal. He's about to reach his home in the background here, and it's yeah, he's carrying these heavy burdens, but he's almost done with his hard work. He's done a lot of work for the hopes of a brighter future as well. He really, the story of the card is he planted those wands, and those are his harvest. But he's kind of burdened because it's a big harvest, and so he's slowly making his way to his home. And I feel maybe that's how you have felt for a very long time, Taurus. But the good news is I feel you are very close. Next, you have the Page of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. The Page of Pentacles is a card of studiousness. Like I said, it's a good time for learning, but I feel for you it's a better time for action. I also feel the Page of Pentacles could be good news that you've been hoping and praying for with that Four of Swords, which you have twice. You also have another good news card here, the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords with the Four of Swords. So it's whatever you've been asking for could be showing up this week. With the Four of Cups, you have the High Priestess here. The High Priestess is about trusting your intuition, of course. But really, I think of her as needing to reach her full potential. She has no roof over her head on the High Priestess. And so she needs to do things to reach her full potential. She needs to do things to exceed her expectations. So she has to push it when it comes to being successful. And I definitely would. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is charging forward towards success in the area of the good stuff. This is good. If you've been making slow progress, which I feel you have, then this is saying things are going to be speeding up. Yeah, I feel that's true for you, Taurus, but at the same time, based off the astrology, it's things could speed up between now and March, but I think after March of next year is when people are going to really notice things speeding up, right? So I would just keep doing what you're doing. With the Page of Pentacles, and here you go, and the Four of Swords, you have the Ace of Swords again. Basically confirmation for that Four of Swords and the Ace of Swords over here. So there's definitely, going to be some good news or something that you've been hoping and praying for, some sort of victory. You have this bag, it says something important such as a new job or raise or an opportunity. Again, you have that Prepare card. That Prepare card was saying to me that you need to trust, with the Trust card, an opportunity that is coming in. And it could look similar to a past opportunity. You have this wind chimes card. It says peace and harmony, justice, right? Justice is Libra. Libra is the sign of peace and harmony, but you are also ruled by Venus, so which is peace and harmony. So anything you can do to practice more of that in your life would be good. You have this barrel. It says you feel something is lacking in your life, perhaps love, money, or goals. We are in an amazing time for filling in the gaps, right? Anything you don't have that you want, all you have to do is face the fears with the Wheel of Fortune, and you will change your destiny. You have this wishbone. It says wish granted. Love it. Make a wish. Four Swords is kind of a wish card. He's like hoping and praying for a wish, right? So like I said, you could be getting something you've been asking for. You have this Bull card, which is you. It says, do not back down from opposition. Show strength and fortitude. Yes, definitely time to charge through those obstacles. But this looks pretty good here for you, Taurus. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.